Hi everyone, I am Haley and welcome to Knit to the Point. So this being my first video, I thought I'd do a little background on myself. Like I said, my name's Haley. I've been knitting for a very short time, not even a full year. But I have been crocheting since I was about 12. That's when I learned, and I really picked it up around the age of 14 or 15 and have been crocheting ever since. So I do have a good sense of like reading patterns, things like that, but very beginner knitter. So I also am currently a senior in college studying art history with a plan to focus in the fiber arts. So this is something that I really enjoy in multiple aspects of my life. And yeah, so the purpose of this channel is to create a podcast and just kind of, sorry, I'm looking down at my in my notes. Also, I have a little bit of a cold that I've been getting over, so if I sound nasally, that is why. Um, so really the purpose of this podcast is to share my journey as a knitter and sometimes my crochet projects, and overall just find a community with other fiber artists here on the internet and hopefully meet some people, share some fun things, and yeah. So I figured today, which is really this is the main thing I wanted to get to, was a little project that I've been working on that's a finished object now. It's blocked and everything, and that is my Astraeus sweater. So the Astraeus first, I guess I'll show you first. I guess I will show you first. So here is the Astraeus sweater. I don't know if you can really see everything about it, but it is really, really beautiful. I'm very happy with it. As soon as I saw this pattern like a couple months ago, I was obsessed. And then I bought the pattern and I bought the yarn and I got started on it. So, the Astraeus sweater, let me get to my notes so that I can tell you really the nitty gritty details of it. Sorry for all the flipping. The Astraeus sweater is a pattern by Megan Reagan at Bad Wolf Girl Studios, and I will link the Ravelry link down below. The pattern itself, like what you buy, comes with 4 separate patterns for $9, I believe. But she's not from the United States, so it's not in dollars on Ravelry, but it's equivalent to $9 US. But I think it was in krona or something like that. Please don't quote me on that, but I'm not sure. But basically the pattern itself, what you get with the whole package is you get the moonbeam ornament pattern, which basically comes with like the pattern, and then also the charts are all based off of a very similar chart, just kind of adjusted for the various patterns. And then you also get the Astraeus sock weight sweater for adults. So obviously that's the chart pattern, everything meant to be knitted up with a sock or fingering weight yarn. And then you also get the Moonbeam Astraeus mini sweater, which is basically the children's version of this pattern. And then you also get, this is the pattern that I knit, which is the Astraeus DK weight sweater. So now into the actual details of my project knit off of this pattern. So I knit a size 8 in this pattern, which had a 60-inch bust circumference, which I believe for me is about 7 inches of positive ease. But and I'll get into this more later, but because this was my first color work pattern, I did knit my floats pretty tight, and so it is a little tighter than the intended fit, but it fits fine. I still very much enjoy it. My swatch was to gauge, but of course I didn't realize that I should have knit the color work in the swatch and instead just knit a 4x4 stockinette swatch, which I believe, I don't think I wrote down what the gauge was. I want to say maybe 20 stitches by 28 rows, I believe. Don't hold me to that. But I don't think I used the yarn that it called for in the pattern. I don't remember what it called for in the pattern. No, I didn't. Oh, I have it written down. So in the pattern, it called for 600 grams in the main color and 200 grams in the contrast color of either the Bad Wolf Girl Studios DK or Knit Pick Swish DK. I used Knitting for Olive Merino held double, so I have quite a bit left over. So this was my main color. There we go. That's my main color. So yeah, I used Knitting for Olive 100% Merino, and the main color was the colorway Deep Petroleum Blue. So in this, I got 250 meters for 50 grams. So I think I ordered 12 balls of the main color and I have 2 full balls left over, plus maybe in scraps I probably have about 3/4, maybe 2/3 of yarn, like 2/3 of a ball. Well, 2/3 of 2 balls left, really, between the scraps that I have. And then my contrast color was the Knitting for Olive in the 100% Merino in dark ochre, which is just this. Hold on. This does not want to. There we go. I remove my face. There we go. It's just really struggling, but just this really, really beautiful, like golden kind of rustic yellow color. I was very happy with these two together. You can kind of see they look gorgeous together, and I am very happy with the final product. I mean, the pattern itself is just gorgeous. Because this was my first time doing color work, I also didn't want to push myself too much and do too many of the more difficult techniques in this pattern. So I knit the pretty basic version. So I did just a straight line fit. I did not do the A-line shaping. I didn't do the German short rows for the collar. So my sweater's pretty much identical front to back. Now, like I said before, I did do my floats very tight, even though I thought I was being conscious about it, and I thought I was doing my floats kind of loose, but it blocked out pretty nicely. Like, you wouldn't necessarily be able to tell too much, especially on the main body and stuff, but where it is a little bit of a problem, because it makes it kind of tight on my arm, you can tell on the sleeve it's raised. So on these specific lines right through here, and it is a little tight on my arms, but nothing that's too uncomfortable. Again, I've only tried this on for very short periods of time. I haven't actually worn it out yet, but I think it's going to be okay. I really do. So I really love it. I love how the Knitting for Olive Merino works up. Oh, I will say though, I did do the shaping on the arm sleeves to just basically, I just did decreases at the underarm seam line that basically give it a more fitted look throughout the arm, which I'm really glad I did, because that looked really good, especially considering the fact that it's a little tight through here. So yeah, like I said, I knit the size 8. And yeah, overall, really great pattern. I really recommend it, especially if you're really into solar and lunar motif stuff or color work. I think it's really beautiful. I think I personally knit it in colors very similar to what the pattern does in blue and yellow. But but I think it would probably look really beautiful in other colors as well. So yeah, I will link that pattern below and definitely recommend giving it a try. It was a pretty easy to follow color work chart and pattern, especially like I said, my first color work project. So yeah, I'm gonna set that over here. You can see it in the background, but it's fine. Which now that leads me into my other finished object, which is my only other finished object. Excuse me. Most of this video is current whips and projects that I plan on getting on the needles, and which are mainly gift knits. I think they're all gift knits actually, but this is a gift knit. It's for my, so if my friend Lexi is somehow watching this, please don't watch this part because this is about your gift. So this is her birthday present. That her birthday already passed, but I haven't had the chance to give this to her yet. So this is just like a simple ribbed chunky beanie, which I think is really cute. I followed the directions from CJ's Design Simple Ribbed Beanie pattern, which has two different, it's a free pattern. It has two different, like kind of patterns to it. Like basically it just tells you, it's like the same pattern, but you can knit it either in bulky or super bulky. I knit it in a super bulky yarn, which leads me to the yarn I used. I used the Wool Ease Thick and Quick from Lion brand, which is a weight 6 super bulky yarn, and it is 86% acrylic, 10% wool, and 4% rayon. It's machine washable and dryable, which is always nice, especially for gift knits. And yeah, I think, what size needles did I knit these on? Oh gosh, I think oh no, I didn't write it down. I might have used 8mm needles, but I think I used the needle size that's suggested in the pattern, so I'll also link this down below, especially because this is a really great gift knit. So, also this is not exactly what the pattern looks like. I opted for not doing a like foldable brim. I just did because I thought in the super bulky that's not the look I was going for, because like I kind of, obviously the head's short, but this isn't like the look I wanted for it. I thought my friend probably would like just like this, like really simple, not too much bulk around here. Um, and yeah, there's also, I think, like an option to add a pom pom. I didn't do that either, but other than that, I don't think I adjusted the pattern any other way. I think, oh, I did for the decreases around the crown. I didn't want it to, especially because I was doing like a shorter, like because I shortened the pattern a lot because I wasn't doing the folded brim. I didn't want it to look like too much variation around the top. So I think I did adjust like the decreases a little bit so that I could try to get it to line up with my ribbed sections. But other than that, it was really great, really easy to follow. Always love a free pattern. So yeah, I will also link that pattern down below. All the patterns that I talk about, I will link down below. But yeah. Oh, and the Woolies, this is in, sorry, my, hold on. My brother's friend is here, and my brother, he's home from college. So yeah, it's like a really pretty colorway. So the colorway, it's hard to tell. It's basically like just this like off-white color with really beautiful like dark brownish black specks all throughout it. Um, so, and I know she likes more neutrals, so that's why I went with this. Um, let's see. Again, I'm sorry if you can hear them in the background. I told him to keep it down, but he's talking outside the door. Um, so the color of this, that's what I was doing. The color is wheat. That's the color. Wheat. So yeah, Wool Ease Thick and Quick Wheat. I just got this from Michael's. And I bought two because I had no clue. I knew it would probably only take one or less balls of this to do the beanie, but I don't know. I didn't want to run out and then not have what I need. So, which leads me into my current whips. So, because I have so much of that yarn left over and I need a Christmas gift for my friend, I decided to just go ahead and knit a scarf to match this. Now, I'm not following a pattern for the scarf, but I'm using the exact same yarn and literally just gonna knit one long, like, it's literally like I have nothing. I just started this and then like put it down because I wanted to start something else. But I think I cast on, let's see, I cast on 18 stitches, and like I said, I'm just working back and forth in stockinette. And yeah, working back and forth in stockinette and just literally going to make a long scarf till pretty much I run out of yarn. So, I'm using 9mm needles, which is the suggested needle size for the yarn. And yeah, on the ends, I am, like on my last stitch, I am just slipping it instead of, or no, the first stitch. Oh gosh. Well, yeah, the first stitch of each round, I am slipping instead of knitting or purling, so that I have a cleaner edge because I tend to knit loosely, and especially at the ends, that can become problematic. So, yeah, that's the first whip, and then okay, which one do I want to do? I guess I'll do so. This next whip, I have two whips in this bag. Sorry. This next whip is also a gift knit. I really hope this is not. Oh, it's coming off the needles. I knew that was going to happen. Okay. So this is a kid sweater. It's really a baby sweater for one of my cousin's daughters. And it's so cute. So I'm knitting the Weasley sweater. And basically I'm following the directions from How to Knit a Weasley Sweater from Needles in Life. It is not a pattern, but it is Needles in Life. It's their blog post that they kind of describe what they did to knit this sweater. Oh gosh, stitches are slipping off again. They described what they did, and so basically, they just knit like I don't remember if they said they like just kind of constructed their own like raglan, but I'm not at the point in my knitting journey where I would be comfortable just trying to cast on for a raglan and just seeing where it takes me. So I'm using the Good Old Raglan pattern by Karen O'Hanlon Court, which is a free raglan pattern for kids. And I think it comes all the way from like 0 to 3 months to like 4 or 5 years old, something like that. So it calls for a DK weight, but I am knitting this in a worsted weight yarn on 5mm needles instead of 4mm needles. So I decided that I will, instead of trying to adjust my needle size and knitting it in DK because I knew I didn't want to, I just was going to calculate and see which size I would need to knit to actually get the measurements for the 1 to 2 year old size. So I'm actually knitting the size for the 6 to 9 month year old, and so basically I think the finished chest circumference that I'm going for is like 24 inches. I believe like 25.5, something like that. And uh, yeah, it's working up really quickly. It's really easy, simple pattern, looks really great. I'm using, I don't have like an actual unused ball, but I'm using the Uptown Worsted yarn by Universal Yarn. I just got this from my local craft, or my, not local craft store, local yarn store. And it's 100-gram ball. It's 100% anti-pilling acrylic, and you get 180 yards or 165 meters in the 100 grams. Machine washable and dryable, the deal with most acrylics. And yeah, I did not knit a gauge swatch for this, but it worked out okay because this is pretty much ending up the size I want. I just was hoping and praying the gauge swatch on the yarn would match what I was probably going to knit up. So it's like an 18 by 24 um, stitch gauge for 4 inches by 4 inches. Um, and this is in the color Beat. So it's this like really pretty, just like garnety red color, just real dark. And then I don't think I have it. Oh, I do have it with me. This is just acrylic yarn that I have in my stash that I'm going to use for the letter. And this is I don't even remember what brand this was, to tell you the truth. Just got it from Joann's for something else, and I had this left over, and I was like, great way to stash bust. So I'm gonna do the Needles in Life, like on their blog. They talk about that they did duplicate stitches, which I've never done before, but I think I can handle it. I have faith in myself. There's one thing that I can say about myself, that I am nothing but overconfident when it comes to my crafting abilities, which sometimes works out really great. I end up learning really great new techniques and things because I was not afraid to try them. And sometimes I fail. That's all part of crafting, especially in the fiber arts, I feel like. So, yeah, I'm just going to use this color over this to get the letter. And yeah, hopefully this is working up really fast. I think I've been working on it for 3 days now. I think I cast it on like 2-3 days ago. So, so my other like really like main whip that I was working on, not the scarf, but the other one that I'll show you next. I kind of paused that real quick to work and finish this one so that I can give it to my cousin. I didn't want to give it to him around Christmas. I was excited, so I want to give it to him before. So that's that. I have a lot of stuff piling up over here because I don't want to put it on top of other stuff that I haven't shown yet. Now, the whip of the hour. This is the whip that I am most excited about. So this is a whip for myself, and it's a very popular pattern. I wanted a holiday sweater for myself to wear on Christmas Day. And I was like, how awesome would it be if I knit that myself? And I was like, definitely wanting like cables, like that kind of thing. So I am knitting the Moby Sweater by Petite Knit. I'm sure everyone is very familiar with that pattern. If not, if you've never heard of Petite Knit, they're like one of the best pattern knit pattern design. Like they have, like she has so many patterns, and they're really great. They're definitely, some of them, or at least this pattern is a little more advanced, but I was ready for the challenge of doing cables and a bunch of texture. So I'm working on the back yoke right now. I just finished the German short row shaping not that long ago. It's looking very, very nice. I'm obsessed with this. So I also believe I have my gauge swatch in here I can show you, because that can kind of show you how this looked kind of after blocking. So this is the I can't tell if I'm like doing a good job. This is the gauge swatch, so yeah, it looks really good. Again, I'm struggling to get like I need to be able to see if it's like clear. You know what? Okay, it's fine. But it looks very good. Take my word for it. So this pattern has like it's basically worked. It has four sections of four different textures. So you have your moss stitch, which runs down like the sides, and then in between each section you have like pearls that kind of separate the sections. So you have your moss stitch, and then you go into these like the ladder stitch, which that is worked on either side of the cable with the pearl stitches in between, and then you have just like a classic kind of like cable, and then you have the mock cable section, which is worked up the middle. Um, So that's kind of like a glimpse at that. I can show you on my whip. You can see it a lot better. I was unsure about the mock cables when I first saw this pattern. I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I like that, but that's my favorite part of this pattern. It's really fun to work up, and it looks absolutely wonderful. This isn't even blocked yet, but it's so satisfying. And then, so the yarn that I got for this, also, before I talk about the yarn, so my gauge swatch. So Any Knits kind of talks about this in one of her podcasts about how it was kind of difficult to figure out what petite knits meant when she said to do the gauge swatch, because you're supposed to work it up in the four different sections of the cable pattern, like the chart. So I followed Any Knits like on their or on her Ravelry. I followed like kind of like her directions on how she did this, which it was really simple. Basically, you just knit like she cast on I think 30 stitches and did, because I think, what is the gauge? I don't know what the actual gauge is actually, but New England Knits, she cast on 30 stitches and kind of worked up in the pattern. So I followed her directions for that, but she knit one of the like she knit I think like a smaller medium maybe, and I'm knitting the 4X, so it's a completely different chart. Not that's an exaggeration. It is, the chart's a little different because some of the sections to accommodate so that the sections aren't like weird ratio, with like a lot of moss stitch and not as much of the, you know, front cabling patterns. You basically adjust the length of some of the sections so you have more stitches for some of the sections. So basically, I think I cast on 36 stitches instead of 30. Um, Yeah. Yeah. I cast on 36 stitches instead of 30, and but still kind of followed Any Knits instructions for that, and then yeah, it worked out fine. My So usually I'm a loose knitter, but I was knitting pretty tight for this, and it calls for you to use a worsted weight yarn on 4mm needles, and because I didn't want my stuff to be loose, I ended up a little undergauged, not by a lot, but just a little bit, to where it definitely would have made a difference. Like, and I didn't want the sweater to end up being too small, so I decided to knit a 4X instead of a 3X, and I'm thinking that'll give me about the positive ease that I want, um, which is, I think, again, I'm knitting for about like 6 to 8 inches of positive ease. So yeah, that is that. But I will now tell you the yarn that I'm using. It's like such a beautiful, gorgeous. Okay, hold on. That pink is kind of. unique. We'll say that it's kind of messed up, but it's just untucked. But I'm using the Cascade Yarns Cascade 220 Heathers, which and I'm using it. It's a worsted weight yarn. I'm using it in the colorway Pumpkin Spice, and for 100 grams, you get 220 yards or 200 meters. This yarn, it's 100% Highland Peruvian wool, which I have used their 100% Highland Peruvian wool before to knit a raglan sweater, but I used their undyed, and I think that was a bulky weight. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it was a bulky weight. But this, I don't know if you can. Come on, please. Oh my gosh, it's like, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it is like, maybe if I adjust the lighting real quick. There you go. So you can kind of see from that, it's like such a beautiful, like nutty kind of gingerbready brown, which is what I was going for. But if you look at it closer, you can see like the goldenish yellow, orangey red hues that like go into making this the color that it is. And it is so beautiful. It works up so well. It feels so nice to work up with. I will say, because it's been kind of dry, even just like holding it, it's been dry here in Virginia, and it usually isn't. Virginia is usually a pretty humid place, but it's been pretty dry, and you can kind of hold near the mic. You can kind of hear that. Like, working with this yarn does make the palms of my hands a little dry, so I've just been making sure I keep lotion nearby, but it works up very beautifully. I use the Knit Picks interchangeable wooden needle set, which I love those. This works really, really nicely on those. So yeah, I'm very excited to finish this. Like I said, my deadline is Christmas Day to have it washed, blocked, and finished and everything. So I am really hoping that works out because it's just so beautiful and I want to wear it. So yeah, that's it for my current whips. Again, I apologize if you can hear my brother in the background. We share a wall. So, and he's kind of loud, and I think he's playing video games. So, on to my gift knits. So, I have not, these are all gift knits that I have not cast on yet, but these are like pretty much most definitely what I'm doing. And I will show you the yarn and everything that I have that I'm going to use to go along with these patterns. Most of the yarn I had in stash already, except like, I believe one of the yarns I didn't. So I wanted to try to stash bust as much as possible with this because I will admit I have been guilty of being a little overzealous buying yarn in the past. So I'm really trying to stash bust right at the moment. So first gift knit. So also, if you're one of my close family members, aka my mom, my dad, my brother, or my aunt, please do not watch this because your gift is in this section. So if you are one of those people, please click off now. Pretty much I think the only one that would be watching this is my mom. So mom, do not watch this part. But so the first gift that I am planning is for my aunt, and I want to, well, one of the gifts, because she's getting two, because one she asked for, and the other one I really want to knit her. So the one that I wanted to knit for her is a balaclava pattern, and I chose to do this because even if she's like in the car by herself, she'll like wear her mask if her face gets cold because like her nose gets cold and stuff. So I was like, a balaclava would be perfect for her because she can cover her like face right here, and I know she'll love it. So I'm gonna knit her the crayon balaclava, and this is the one pattern that I don't know if I have yarn for yet, because this is the yarn I'm using for her other pattern, which is a mittens pattern, but for the crayon balaclava, which is a pattern by Mia Philish. I hope I said that right, but it's a free pattern. I will again link that on the Ravelry. It's a really nice pattern, just a simple balaclava. So I'm gonna use that, but hopefully I'll have enough in this to do the mittens and the balaclava. I don't have that high of hopes, but if I don't, I have other yarn that I will figure it out. But as for the mittens that I'm knitting for her, I'm going to cast on the Nesting Fingers mittens by Drops Design. And these are like a mitten that has like the fingertipless gloves, but it still has like the individual fingers, just not the like ends. And then it has the mitten cap that is attached to it or like it's attached to the back and you can pull it over the front to keep your fingertips cold, but then if you need to like do something on your phone or something, you can pull it off. So the yarn that I'm definitely using for that is the one I held up before. It's the Universal Yarn, so the yarn brand that I held up before for my Weasley sweater, in the yarn type Color Burst, which is it is a what weight is this? I would say this is like a light worsted DK kind of weight. Yeah, I would say this is more on the DK weight side. It is not as, yeah, this is definitely a DK. It's not as thick as a worsted weight, but it's a 65% superwash merino wool, 35% acrylic. So really, again, great for a gift knit because if it gets dirty, it can be popped in the washing machine. For 200 grams, that's like big. 200 grams, you get 660 yards or 600 meters. And this is in the color Romance. I paid $20 for this at my yarn store, but I feel like if you divide that down, that's really not too bad. Not as cheap as like the Karen cakes, but also a pretty good price. So, yeah, like I said, color Romance. It's just really beautiful. It has pinks and purples and like real pastel-y, but also like rosy colors and like some sunsetty oranges, and it's a beautiful yarn. And I know she'll like this because she was talking about kind of wanting she said maybe rainbow, but then also her favorite color is pink. So I figured like a variegated yarn in like a colorway like this was just perfect for her. So that's what I'm going to use, hopefully for both patterns, if not just for the gloves. And yeah, so now moving on. For my brother and my mom, I'm trying to be quiet because my brother's next door. I'm going to do hats for both of them. And I'm going to use probably this one I'm not definite about, but I'm pretty sure. I'm going to use the ribbed hat recipe by Nimble Needles. And yeah, it's just like a real simple ribbed beanie for like, I think DK weight yarn. So what I'm going to do is, for my brothers, I'm going to use my leftover knitting for Olive in this blue color. Because I know a merino will, because he goes to school up in Pennsylvania, so I know it'll keep him really nice and warm, which is awesome. And then for my mom, so this yarn I knew I was going to use for something for my mom. I've been going back and forth what I want to use it on. I started off with a scarf, but the scarf I cast it on, I frogged because I, at that point in time, was still not doing, like, I was still, like, even more beginner than I am now, so, like, just, my tension and stuff was not good for that pattern, so I frogged it, And then I tried to cast on another scarf. I wasn't liking it. I've cast on so many things with this yarn, but I have 2 balls of this. It's the Barocco Luca yarn, which is a 50% cashmere, 50% cotton. And I got this on sale at the local yarn store that I usually go to called Center of the Yarniverse. So if you're ever in the Ashland area of Virginia, I highly recommend that yarn store. They're awesome there. I love it. That's one of my favorite yarn stores. So, yeah, so they were having a sale. They were doing like a big like clear out kind of sale with a couple different brands. So I got this yarn and then also like a Chi Ichi yarn, which is like in my stash over there. But this yarn, I got it in the color. I don't think it actually has a color name. I think just a number. Yeah, I got it in the color 5806. It's just like a very simple, like light gray color. Like yeah, just light gray. And yeah, I would say it's like a DK weight. This is a 50-gram ball, and you get 143 meters. So yeah, I would say it's definitely like a DK, definitely not a worsted, but yeah, it's very soft, but has that kind of like strength to it that like a cotton would give you. So, yeah, that's what I think it's like a very interesting texture. Like, again, very soft, but I was like, what am I gonna make with this? Because I don't know, it's just like not looking right in a sweater because it does not have any like halo to it. But I think as a hat, it will work up nicely. So yeah, I have 2 balls of this, so that should be plenty, I think, for a hat. And yeah, I think she's gonna like it. I really knew I wanted to use it for my mom because of the cashmere. I was like, she, I don't think has ever had like a cashmere item in her closet. So I don't know if I said this before, but yeah, it was on sale from $29 for $14.50. So yeah, this is not something I usually would pay. Like I would not usually buy, but because it was like literally half off, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. So yeah, yeah, I don't know if I probably would ever in my life spend $30 on a 50-gram ball of yarn, but I hope to one day because I really love yarn, and that's not me saying that some yarns are not deserving of being at that price point. They very much are, but it's just not something I typically would purchase. It's not usually in the budget, but $14.50, I was like, for cashmere, I can do that. So yeah, that's that pattern. So again, that's for my mom and my brother. And then also my mom's birthday's in December. So I want to start a tradition where I knit her a pair of socks every year for her birthday. And most likely like maybe Christmassy kind of socks, but not like overtly Christmassy, like that, like she could wear them outside of Christmas. So for her socks, I'm going to use the I'm So Basic socks by Summerly Design Co. And I think I think it is like a vanilla sock, but I'm not positive. Um, and this yarn's got a lot of dog hair and stuff in it because it's been dropped on the floor a couple times, so apologies for that. And it's looking kind of rough, but it's in 2 balls. But from another project that I used it for. But it's a fingering weight sock, and it is that's my main color, by the way. It's another Cascade yarn, so it's the Cascade Heritage yarn, which is 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon, so it can be machine washable. And in 100 grams, you get let's see, in 100 grams, you get 437 yards or 400 meters. I think I probably have over 50 grams left, to tell you the truth, because all I did was knit a baby hat with this, held double, so I think I have quite a bit left. And actually, I knit one baby sock in it that was a failed attempt, and yeah, I tried it on my dog, so it wasn't getting frogged and reused. Sad day for that yarn a little bit, but yeah. Oh, that's the wrong thing. This is the contrast color. Again, it's got hair and stuff in it. This is the contrast color I'm using, which this I have no information on. I'm pretty sure by the texture that it is either an acrylic, but I'm more leaning towards it's a superwash merino with nylon because it has very much that texture. Sorry, again, my brother's playing video games. But yeah, this is what I'm going to use for like the heel and toe and top ribbing. So just like a really nice, like this she can wear other times of the year, but it kind of has that Christmassy vibe with the red tones. So yeah, I'm gonna knit that up with the I'm So Basic socks by Summerlee Designs, like I said before. And yeah, so for my final um, gift knit and planned whip, I am also gonna knit my dad a pair of socks because one thing about my dad is he loves socks. He loves a good funky pair of socks. So um early on in my knitting, I bought this yarn and I didn't like have a lot of like not because most of my crocheting was done either on worsted weight acrylic, cotton, or was I did amigurumi at one time and that uses like a super bulky yarn that's like a polyester blend. So yeah, I did not have as much knowledge of like fingering weights, like DK weights, all that stuff. It just that's something I've gotten a lot more into with knitting. So when I bought this, I just bought this because it was pretty, and then I realized this is like meant for socks because I think it even literally says on the yarn that it's a sock yarn. So um, I bought this also at my yarn store at this around the same time that I bought the Luca yarn. But this was not on sale. This is the Queensland Collection Perth, which is uh Australian superwash wool brand or wool blend in the color Canberra. It's just like really pretty, like just kind of oh my god. There we go. Oh yeah, that's a good picture of it. It's just these really. It's showing up a little different on camera, but it's got a lot of like teals and oranges and yellows and greens and just a little bit of brown. It's beautiful. I knit myself a pair of socks in this that they're like short socks. They did not turn out the best because they were my first pair of socks. And again, it was still one of my first knitting projects ever, and it was my first one on that small of needles and that small of a gauge. So it did not turn out the best. Also, socks are difficult for me because I broke my ankle over a year ago, and I've had to have a couple surgeries on it since, and it's still swollen. Like I still have a much bigger left ankle than a right ankle. Like I think it measures at about like 2.5 centimeters more. So knitting socks for myself is kind of a difficult task because I need like two different fits for the socks, which I guess is like a good, like not a good thing for knitting, but like that's a good time to knit socks, I guess, because you can adjust them. But I don't know. But my dad has two very similar ankles and feet, so I decided to use because I have this ball and I bought two of these because again I didn't really know what I was doing when I bought them. So this is like the other ball, which is still probably could get almost a full sock out of. So or probably could get one whole sock out of, honestly. But yeah, I have this that I'm gonna use to knit his socks. And I'm gonna use the vanilla sock with gusset pattern by Joe Tor. Um, yeah, it's just simple sock. I think this one has the option to do whatever heel you want to do. I've only ever knit an afterthought heel, which I didn't mind. I did not understand what I was doing at first. I was like, I thought, like, I bought a yarn for it because I was like, oh, I thought I'd be able to do this with just one color yarn, but it's telling me to use a different color yarn. So I like bought it, and I went and bought like I have some in here. It's a Loosen Threads merino yarn blend, and it's like a DK weight yarn. Again, I had no clue what I was doing. I was like, weight 1, weight 3, what's the big difference? It worked out semi fine because that was just like to hold the place for the afterthought heel, but I thought that was like the heel itself. At first time I realized it's only a couple of rows, and then I was like, oh, this is not the heel because this would not create a heel. So yeah, that was that. But yeah, that is I think all I have to talk about today. One second. I I lost my papers. I accidentally ripped them off. Yeah, that's all my plans for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching. I most likely will make this like at least a monthly thing, if not every like 2 weeks or so, I think. Yeah. So again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.